about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Harambe YouTube, and happy Juneteenth. And on Juneteenth, I like to make multiple videos featuring Black nerd culture and just give my insight into the holiday. And today, a book that I want to talk about is The New Champions #4, and it features the secret. It's called The Secret Origin of the Gold Tiger, and it is just that an origin story of one of the new champions, Gold Tiger. If you're not familiar with the new champions, the first time I saw them in print was in the issue of Spider-Woman. I can't remember the name, but it was after she discovered that Hydra had taken her son Jerry, aged him up, and took advantage of his latent superpowers to make him a villain and poison him really against his parent. And after that, after the big confrontation, Jessica, Spider-Woman, she took off across country to clear her head and hopefully find out what happened with Jerry. And that took her across the country to San Francisco, where she ran into a group of young heroes that calling themselves the Nexus. But she found out that they were actually other children, other child superheroes that had been taken, aged up, and they thought that they were a group of heroes, but they were really being controlled by Hydra. And Spider-Woman was able to break them free of Hydra and get them back in contact with their parents. Those whose parents could not be found, they placed them with foster parents. And so that is where we get the new champions from. And it not only features the members of the Nexus from Spider-Woman, but also other young superheroes. The new Ghost Rider is involved. The Gold Tiger, she is, I believe, just introduced in this series, and she is from Wakanda. I'll give you a little preamble here. A villain named Magnetrix, secretly aided by her street magician partner Monty, set a trap for the team, pitting them against the original champions. Using Psycho Man to manipulate their emotions, Magnetrix forced the two champions teams into an all-out brawl. Though the heroes were able to free themselves and make peace, the new champions are wary of the growing target on their back. So that was the last issue, and that's where we met a lot of these new champions. And in this issue, we see the young lady, Golden Tiger, in a seedy-looking pawn shop, and she's taking in a gold brick, trying to sell the gold brick. And we find out the pawn shop owner is actually a part of this nefarious white supremacist group called the Sons of the Serpent, who had been tracking her and trying to capture her ever since she left Wakanda. And we don't quite know why, but as soon as she is in danger, the other champions are alerted and they come to her aid, and they decide, you know what, it's time for us, relative strangers, to really get to know each other as a team. And so in the post fight with these guys meeting, they essentially get together to find out their histories, and that is where we get to know her history. And that is that her parents were Wakandan scientists who were sent out to discover other forms of vibranium. And while they were searching for other forms of vibranium, they found a vibranium that was gold colored. And that is the first time they had a run-in with the Sons of the Serpents. And during the process, these two young scientists ended up being cornered in a cave where they discovered this gold vibranium. And the mother and the father got separated, and the cave ended up where the mother took off hiding and ended up collapsing. And all of this gold vibranium disappeared, and all of the Sons of the Serpents that were after them they end up being crushed in the aftermath. And in the aftermath, when she crawls out of the rubble, she stumbles across a tiger. At first, she's fearful, but she realizes the tiger is just looking after the safety of her cub, which she understands because then we have to reveal that she is pregnant. And so, where did all that gold go? What's going on with this gold vibranium? How did it disappear? Well, we find out that, well, for one, it doesn't necessarily say that the husband was killed. It just says that she survived. And so that leaves a potential storytelling element wide open for the future of this character. Where's the father? Is he alive? What's going on with him? But when she gets back to Wakanda and delivers the baby, she finds out that the gold vibranium didn't disappear. She absorbed it, and it melded with her newborn baby. And as she grew up, she just, discovered that this child had the ability to turn things gold with a touch and had this power over the gold vibranium that Wakanda wanted to study. But she eventually grew tired of that and just kind of took her daughter, put her in seclusion away from anybody who might try to harm her in Wakanda. But in one of the battles that they were having in a different dimension, the new champions, this is when they called all the new champions, and they didn't realize that it was going to call up all of these young Avengers to join in their battle. That included Spider-Boy, Phantasma, who is the new Ghost Rider character, and all these other champions, including the Gold Tiger. And it was her first really step out of Wakanda and into freedom. And she wanted to continue that. And so instead of going right home to Wakanda, she tried to find a way in Southern California. And she explained the way that she had been living was tracking down nefarious pawn shops, and she had this power to turn things golden for a day. So she would turn something gold, trade it to the pawn shop, and that's how she was making her way in California. But eventually, they do battle this white supremacist group, and they end up whooping them, tracing them back to their lair, putting the hurting on them. And it says not to be continued. The new champions totally kicked their butts. So it was pretty much just a one-issue arc focused on introducing this new character. And I think that if you are a fan of number one issues, even though this isn't number one, it's a number 4, or origin stories, this is a must-have because we get to know the origin of this character, who I think if Marvel decides to build upon, could be a great original character of color to add to the roster of Marvel books. And so I'm hoping that this takes off. And also, if you're a fan of stories that begin and end in one book, we have a full story, a full arc in one book for one low price of $3.99. So you can't beat that at all. Check it out, New Champions number 4. The Secret Origin of the Gold Tiger. And this is just a fun book. It doesn't get too heavy because it's dealing with young people. And there's lots of action. And even when they do broach sensitive subjects like racism, they do it in a way to where it's not coddling or dishonest, but it's not overbearing or inappropriate. And so I think this would be a good series to get your kids into. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think. And enjoy the rest of your Juneteenth. And I will see you again with another video. Or who knows, this might be the last video I post of the day. I'm recording this well before, so who knows where it will be. But regardless, around me, and I will see you next time. Until then, keep reading them books. I'm out.